Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Seek Outside podcast. Today is July 2nd. It's a Wednesday. It's America Week.
America Week.
4th of July.
USA.
Coming right around the corner. Hopefully you guys aren't watching this podcast because you guys are doing something awesome in the woods. But if you are, come join along. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about public lands. We got a special guest on today. His name is Senator Mike Lee. He hails from the state of Utah. He's one of our good friends of the show. He's coming on to kind of pitch as to why, America needs less public lands.
More Airbnbs.
More
vacation homes.
Yeah.
Less elk hunting.
Yeah. All those things, as a company, we staunchly agree with,
Yes. We love Mr. Mike Lee.
Yeah. He's one of the key points that I like is when he talks about, how we need more people in this country with 3 to 4 homes.
Mm-hmm.
I just totally agree with him there.
One home is not good enough.
It's not.
Now, if we can drop the price of homes, $10,000, affordable housing. I can tell you, I'm actively looking for a house. $10,000 would make a world of difference.
Yeah. Big difference.
Yep.
No, we don't have Mike Lee on. Don't worry.
We're all joking here. It's all jokes. Some rare American sarcasm.
Yeah. But no, thank you guys for joining 4th of July week. We're going to start off. We got a couple notes here before we get into DST drawing. Number one is starting tomorrow, July 3rd, 4th of July sale.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do we got? Up to 15% in saving.
Up to 15%. You want to kind of break down how the sale works?
Yeah. So you're going to use the code SEEK4th. That's SEEK, and then the number 4 and TH. So SEEK4th. It's going to be good for 10% on any full price items on our website. That excludes, Western Mountaineering bags and stuff like that. And then if you combine that with a Hot Tent bundle, you're saving a total of 15% off. Mm-hmm. So you can get your Cimarron Hot Tent bundle, your Guardian, all the Hot Tent bundles, 15% off, which is a pretty screaming deal.
It is.
And if you order now, you're definitely going to have it for hunting season. As we go into the busy time of the year, lead times extend, seam seal times extend. So take this time to get yourself a shelter. Get ready for the season.
Yeah, and ends on the 8th. That's Tuesday.
So it's going to start 3rd through 8th.
Mm-hmm.
8th at midnight Mountain Time. Mm-hmm. She's done.
Yep.
Done. No more savings.
Yep. Good time to get a Cimarron, get a Red Cliff, get a big boy teepee, whatever you're looking for.
Get a courthouse.
Yeah, any of that. Stoves, backpacks, all that stuff is applicable. But if you get the Hot Tent combo, you're really getting a good deal. And for anybody that is interested, we have just recently changed our Hot Tent bundles.
Yep.
You can bundle lots of stuff now, which is nice because you save 5% on that in the first place, like Owen said. But before it was like tent, liner, stove. That's it.
Yeah, you only had limited options. So we've kind of gone back to you can get just a tent and a stove and consider that a bundle at 5%, or you can get the whole thing. You can get a DST tarp. You can get all these things at 5%, and during the sale, you can get them at 15%.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty smoking deal. You can do a Red Cliff with just a stove of your choice. Any of the stoves from large all the way up to SXL, U-turns, all that kind of good stuff. So the bundle options are way bigger now.
Yeah,
bigger and better.
The old ones we were trying to make it a little bit easier, but then it got to the point where, like us as a, talking to people customer service wise, we'd be like, nah, don't get the bundle, get this.
Yeah.
So we made it, we wanted to kind of change that up and make it so that you could get exactly what you wanted. And another thing we do have, I guess you mentioned it, DST tarps are now an option on a lot of the bundles, which is pretty sick because a lot of people add those anyway. So
yeah, it's a DST tarp. You can use it for anything.
It's
awning
classic.
Off your shelter, all the stuff. And that should be a great segue into what are we giving away today?
Yeah.
Who's going to get the most useful tarp? in existence?
Well, I don't know. We got to see. Shout out to everybody that commented.
Yep.
Honestly, thank you to you guys, because this drawing and subscriptions on the YouTube, it's definitely done a lot better than probably we were expecting. And there's lots of comments, and I freaking love hearing all the hot tips that you guys are dropping, hearing all the feedback, hearing all the it really is kind of just like everybody's kind of listening along. They're giving us gear tips, which is great.
Yep.
Love to hear those. So
yeah, definitely like compared to just a normal podcast, it's really fun to see you guys' comments and the rhetoric that goes along. And
yeah,
thank you guys for watching us. I hope we're entertaining enough.
Yeah, I think we're finding the stride a little bit here in the YouTube. The new YouTube going. So, but yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, basically every episode we give away a DST tarp at the beginning here. To be entered, you have to get onto the YouTube channel, subscribe, and then also comment. And
comments are limited to 10 comments total.
Yep.
As we saw, Beard and Gun did follow the rules.
Yeah. No, I think everybody, I was looking through this morning, everybody.
Yeah, everybody's good.
And, but yeah, I liked how Beard and Gun kind of labeled his so that we know that it's 10. Because he obviously has picked up that we're not great at math and counting. So thank you, Beard and Gun. Appreciate it, man. But yeah, so that's the rules. We're giving one away basically every episode until September, because that's when we're going to be busy doing other stuff. Hunting. That's when hunting season rolls around.
I'm looking at the calendar behind us, and it's pretty full.
Yeah.
For September, October, November is looking booked out.
It is.
Customer service may be slightly limited in those times.
Certain weeks. We have it dialed this year to where we will always have one person no matter what hunting season.
Yeah.
Whereas, like in the past, there have been a couple times where everybody's gone for second season, and that's been our bad. So we finally learned from our mistakes. But yeah. Anyway, DST tarp giveaway. Here we go. Basically, so on this one, I think we got 50 some odd comments here. And so I'm going to put this into a random number generator. And let's see, random number.
Oh, and to add on to the rules, you can't win twice.
Correct.
So I know AJ's on there.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets it, that would be impressive, but he can't get it.
Yep.
So we'll have to draw again.
Correct, Amundo. Which hopefully you guys still comment, because we definitely enjoy them. Yep. But that is, the rules are rules. We're trying to get everybody a DST tarp. You know? That's what we're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's see here. We got 51 comments. So let me throw this in, and it's June 25th right now. So if you commented after, sorry about you. Got to get in there earlier. Let's see.
Yeah, basically we're taking the first week of comments, because we got to film the episode a week before we release it. Generally.
Yep.
Sometimes it's week of, but
yeah, sometimes kind of depends. You're going to be gone next week. We'll get into that. But man, this is perfect. The number is 4 for 4th of July.
Ooh.
So let's go here. I'm going to count down from the top. And the winner is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's at Joel Ellick 9241 with the comment of "Keep 'em rolling." You won. Hit us up. Podcast at Seek Outside or info at Seek Outside, and we'll get you that DST tarp. I know. Basically, we have them in stock right now, so I'm pretty sure that all the people that have won have already gotten their DST tarps, or they're on the way. So get you one in time for summer. Thank you guys for participating. We missed Grease. If it would have been 5, it would have been Grease Monkey for God, which would have been his second. So
I think Beard and Gun and Grease Monkey for God are going to be up on they're going to be up on there though.
Well, no, Grease Monkey already won. Yeah,
he already won. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, Beard and Gun, everybody just keep doing it. We got lots more chances to win. So It's like putting in for tags, you know. You just gotta.
It's a lottery system.
Yeah, we should make it to where there's preference points.
Yeah,
no, that would get chaotic. Quick.
Yeah, so if you commented 10 times on the last episode, you get one preference point.
Yeah, it's like exponential. Yeah. But cool. Well, that's the DST tarp giveaway. We're gonna get into some weekend recap stuff and just general topics, and then we got the happy hour, going to talk about public land sales, women hiking 14ers in high heels, and some other stuff, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Seek Outside podcast.
And you think that's bad? You're Ryan on the phone in the office.
Some people are just wired that way.
No, man. I'm excited for this segment. We've been doing some fun stuff the last couple weeks. The last episode, we didn't really talk too much about the weekend recap, so we're going to cover some more extra stuff today.
Yeah. Well, I think we actually got into it a little bit more this week/weekend, eh?
We did, yeah. Yep.
What'd you get up to?
Well, this weekend didn't really do much, but I kind of want to start with our gear testing.
Our little gear trip. Gear test. Yeah, that was good. It was solid.
It was. Yeah, so we went up to an area here that neither of us had really been to. Mm-hmm. We were trying to get some assets for some new stuff that's coming out.
Some new, freshy stuff. Two new tents.
2 new tents that are on the way.
Completely new designs. Not any 2.0 stuff. Completely new.
Yep.
Very innovative.
Yeah, very different from what we have made in the past, I would say.
I would say very different than anything that's on the market.
That as well. Yeah, for sure.
What do we have one that's... Why don't you talk to me about the big one?
All right. Yeah, so do we want to say names?
Sure.
I'll give it all right. So
they're coming out soon.
Yeah. So we have been, probably the last few years we've kind of been working on both of these, are like the ideas, and they've kind of shifted around a little bit, but you know, I have always been a big fan of the courthouse. That's like I take that basically every year on 1 or 2 hunting trips. Nowadays I take it in, you know, summertime stuff,
camping.
And, hook it up with the cots. But there were some things about it that, you know, we thought could be not necessarily improved, but just changed to make something different. That's, you know, I think one of the big things is just a bigger footprint size, right? To where you could fit, like, you know, 3-4 full-size cots in there.
Yep.
With a stove. And so that's what we've been working on. It's the garage/book cliff. I think the name's probably going to be the book cliff, but we've been calling it the garage because you can literally park a truck in there.
Yep. You can literally back your truck into it. Yeah. We've done it. We've got photos.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. And maybe we'll insert a little sneak peek for you guys. But yeah, it's very different. And we posted a forum, or posted a post on a forum kind of asking for feedback on, you know, what we should do for like another ultralight style wall tent. Yep. And, you know, ultralight wall tent, that's not ultralight like Dyneema. We're not making a Dyneema wall tent. That would be like $5,000. It's not even good for... Dyneema is not even the best for big shelters like that.
We're talking comparatively to a canvas wall tent.
Yeah.
You know, we're sitting at... What was your weight on it?
Yeah, the first one I weighed was 11 pounds with 2 poles and stakes, so lighter than the courthouse. This one, like with some of the modifications, it'll probably be similar to the courthouse.
Yeah, try that 11 to 13 pound range.
Yep.
Depending how you spec it out.
Yep. And it's interesting. It's like a very similar footprint size, but you can fit a lot of people in there.
Yep.
I mean, we've fit 4 full-size cots in there.
Yep.
You can, I mean, if you have ultralight cots, I mean, you could put 10 people in there.
Yeah. You can Yeah, it's roomy.
Depending on how you pack people in there, it's giant.
Insane standing room.
Yep. A very innovative ventilation system.
Yep.
And just like a very innovative, like a lot of the accessories and kind of how you set the tent up are, I think, very innovative in the ultralight space.
Yep.
And the cool thing is it has an awning. And that's kind of that's how you can back a truck into it. You basically flip this awning out, back a truck into it. You can sleep under there. If you want to sleep in the back of your truck while also having like the stove rolling.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to do it. Or if you just want to, you've used it and parked your dirt bike in there.
Yeah. In the early stages of testing, I was out dirt biking, got a flat, put both of our dirt bikes out inside the tent with a table, with my cot, with the stove, removed the front wheel, took it to town, came back. Like, that's kind of like why we call it the garage a bit, you know? Like, it is designed to store things.
Yeah, it really is.
It's designed to sleep people, but it's like you can store tons of stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah. And it goes up quick, too. It's a quick setup, you know?
It's probably similar to the courthouse. Like, 10 minutes, you got a full-blown big old shelter.
Yep, yeah. So that one's pretty awesome. And we're going to have some accessories that are coming out with it that are, should be able to attach to like some of the teepees and courthouses and stuff like that are going to be, add-ons that you can run. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that was cool. And then the other one, I'll let you take it because you've kind of been the champion of this solo shelter.
So this one's called the Brightwater. One person, I think I've talked about it a little bit on here before.
The first photo that we posted was all blurred out, so we'll give it a little bit more juice this time.
Unblur it just a little bit.
Yep.
It is a one-person shelter designed to take up the minimal amount of space while having the maximum amount of space. I would say it feels like a two-person sleeping-wise. Like, could you sleep two in there? You could, but you'd be unhappy about it. But as far as like your standing room, it is a single tracking pole design, but a 2-pole design. Got pretty cool ventilation system on it. Really cool guy out system. It's a sweet shelter. And I can tell you, we're fortunate enough to have fortunate and unfortunate. Fortunate for gear testing. We have some crazy winds out here. Like in the spring and early summer, we get 50, 60 mile an hour winds. Like at least a couple times. And then oftentimes 30s and 40s. And, we had these shelters up, both of them in the yard, 50 mile an hour winds, golf ball size hail.
Yeah. And maybe we'll post that video.
That would be sweet.
Put that down.
Because the Book Cliff took it like a champ. I mean, it's a big tent, right? It's going to move just like any big tent. But the Brightwater just does not move. It's kind of like the Silver Tip in the way that it just does, like it just sheds wind. Yeah. Like it doesn't even, 40 mile an hour wind, it's not even moving.
Yeah. And I think it's by far the smallest footprint tent it doesn't even, because like the Silex is awesome. It's great shelter.
But it's got a larger footprint for one person.
Like most people would call that in other tents, they would call it a 2-person.
Yeah. This sleeping room, you definitely have more sleeping room in the Brightwater than the Silex.
Yeah. No, you really do.
Less gear storage because there's not 2 vestibules. But yeah, it's
a little like shorter and stuff like that. But if you're looking for something to where easy setup, it's like that one is guaranteed you set it up proper, I think. It's super easy to set up.
Pretty impossible to set it up wrong.
Yeah, but the other thing is like if you're pitching it on a tiny ridge line, or you want to, like we were in an area with a bunch of down trees. It was an old burn area.
Yep.
So there's down trees anywhere. You could pitch that thing in between a couple down trees. You could pitch it on the skinniest of ridge lines. You could pitch it in crazy spots.
I haven't measured it, but it can't be but 4 foot wide.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. But it's comfortable to sleep in and you can keep your pack in there.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of, I think, the ultimate So it's not going to be stove compatible. This is marketed more towards the people who are doing 3-season styled stuff. It's going to have a nest option. Pretty nice nest in there, pretty roomy. I'm going to be kind of doing some of the final tests on it this next week and this weekend. I got a float trip this weekend. And then next week, I'm doing the Wyoming BDR. And if you aren't familiar with what the BDR is, it is a route across a state. So there's BDRs in California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, all over the country. But it's mostly off-road by motorcycle. Suppose you could do it in, a car if you wanted as well. But mostly like 2-track dirt roads, exploring a state. And I've not done much of Wyoming. So I'll be spending the next 9 days basically in the Brightwater.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be sweet. That'll be good to find out. So keep an eye out for those. Should be coming out the next month and a half, somewhere in there. Very excited about those. But yeah, that's kind of what we were doing. Gear testing. That was a really fun weekend. Did a lot of fishing.
Yep.
I guess my kind of gear hot tip that I've come up with over the last couple weeks is so I'm a big pack raft fisherman.
Yep.
Right. I love fishing out of a pack raft. I have the alpaca. They're just so easy to blow up. You can take them anywhere. I'm actually going on a backpacking trip to the Sangres this weekend. I'm going to throw the pack raft in there.
Yes, sir.
But the problem with pack rafts and fishing on them is there's always, like, if there's a breeze, you get blown around.
Yep.
And because of how you paddle, it's not always the easiest to maneuver. And so I've always done like some sort of anchor system. Like usually I'll just take a bunch of this Atwood and wrap it around a rock and throw the rock down. And a lot of times it falls out. So I kind of had this idea, and it's not my new idea. A lot of people have probably heard of an anchor bag, right? It's like this big mesh bag that you can use and throw big rocks in it. Well, they don't make any small enough or light enough to be able to throw in a pack raft. And so I just got like a little 9-liter dry bag.
Yep.
And I'll throw like 3 or 4 rocks in there.
Yep.
Tie it off to the cordage, and that thing works golden.
I need to try that out.
It's huge. And if you tie it to the side of the pack raft instead of like the front or the back, I think something about having that bigger surface area for wind, you don't get pushed around as much. So that was kind of something based on that trip. We didn't really do much pack rafting there, but just fishing wise, that's a gear hot tip that I've kind of come up with in the last 2 weeks here.
That's a solid hot tip.
Yeah. What do you got?
Man, I don't even know.
Trying to think of other things that we learned from that trip.
Don't drink a bunch of beers at elevation. Your head will hurt.
Yeah, that's I don't know if that's a hot tip necessarily.
Not a hot tip.
We did get into some steaks though.
Yeah.
I haven't had like a beef steak in a few weeks, or a few years, I should say. We had one last week.
They're pretty good.
And it kind of, I've always been a big game or nothing, like deer, elk steaks or nothing, or caribou or whatever. Not a big fan of beef, but
I like to switch it up. I like to switch it up. I think, you appreciate both more. You eat just deer and elk steaks all the time. You can't appreciate the beef steak unless you go eat it.
Yeah.
But then if you eat the beef steak, you appreciate when you eat wild game.
Yeah, that is true.
It's a different experience.
The yin and yang of steaks.
The yin and yang of steaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have a gear hot tip this week.
Nothing?
No. I mean, I don't.
What is that?
Don't go to sleep when you think it's going to be cold in your puffy First Light pants in your 20-degree sleeping bag when it's only 40 degrees outside.
Yeah.
You'll wake up wet to the touch.
That reminds me, I got some of those First Light puffy booties.
Oh yeah, those are sick.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So good. They're basically, down or synthetic. I'm not sure which one, but and then they have neoprene on the bottom.
Yeah.
and those things were awesome. They were so warm.
Are you taking them up this trip you're going on?
I don't know. It's going to be a lot of elevation gain, and I'm already like bringing the pack raft, so I don't know if I'm going to have and I'm bringing all the camera stuff. Probably going to try to film something. So
nice.
It's already going to be a pretty heavy trip.
Yeah.
But they were sweet. Those things are awesome. Highly recommend. I'm excited to take them on our mule deer trip because I think that's when it's like you get out of your cold ass wet boots after a long day during.
Feels nice.
Yeah. So.
Those puffy pants from First Light have been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been real nice. Like just easy to take along, and it's just a camp layer that you wear, and they aren't getting stinky. You aren't like hiking around in them, but like just a nice, dries you out real good.
Yeah.
Like those a lot. I guess I have a piece of gear I use that I'm stoked on.
What you got?
I've talked about the quilt.
Mm-hmm.
I upgraded to a Sycamore. Western Mountaineering Sycamore microfiber. Game changer for me. It's wide like my Sequoia bag is. Mm-hmm. Not as wide. But it's just, I couldn't do the quilt and go into a bag it is heavier, it's bigger, it's rated for more temperature, but it's definitely a nicer sleeping experience for me.
Yeah. Well, it got down to, I don't know, we were saying like mid 30s. Yeah. And we were sleeping in the book cliff. We had the back ventilation system wide open.
Yep.
And I think both of us were like hot the whole night because we were in our bags. If you have a good bag, and those Western Mountaineering ones are unbelievable.
I've said it before on the podcast a long time ago, but the Western Mountaineering microfiber, it dries you out. Like if you're nasty and sweaty from hiking around all day, something about that fabric, it dries you out. It just like takes the moisture out of you, which is great. Like you don't feel clammy.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. And
unless you're wearing puffy pants.
The quilt was, unless you're wearing puffy pants. The quilt was made from their Extreme Light, I think, fabric.
Different fabric.
And I felt clammy in the Extreme Light. But the microfiber, something about it, it's not clammy.
Not this, yeah. Well, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Anybody that gets clammy, go Western Mountaineering. You won't regret it.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess that's a pretty solid weekend recap here.
Do we have any gear tips from the people that we should talk about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good one. So there were definitely a few comments here. Let me pull them back up. One thing that I did want to bring up, somebody left in the comments talking about carbon monoxide, monitors for sleeping in hot tents.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there? I've never used one.
No. If you're worried about it, it's something you don't really have to worry about. In the early days, I don't have numbers or anything, but in the early days, it was very heavily tested here at Seek. So there's tons of companies doing it. You got tons of companies that have hot tent stoves these days, and it's a non-issue. You have ventilation via the peak vent. That helps a lot on our shelters. And then when you're running floorless, you're never truly sealed off to the ground completely. So there's some airflow there. Mm-hmm. If you're worried about it, I recommend just creating more airflow, but it's not an issue. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why I'm less smart. I'm just kidding. Tons of years of hot tenting. No, you're good. You guys are good. I wouldn't worry about it. If you want to, you can grab one, but how many customers do we have with hot tents out there?
A lot. And
30,000 people with hot tents out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
More.
Probably more.
Yeah.
We have.
And haven't heard one thing.
Yeah. I think it's, if you are in a situation where you're going to have to worry about carbon monoxide, it's probably because you're getting smoked out, but you'll know. It's like you're not going to be able to breathe. It's not like you're burning coal or anything like that, or propane where, there's no smoke emissions, so it can go unchecked. It's pretty.
I do know that I have talked to some people who've burned coal in our stoves, which we do not recommend. Mm-hmm. So coal emits a lot more carbon monoxide than.
Yeah, and I've run charcoal in there at that archery shoot last year when we were cooking up dogs up top.
Oh, yeah.
I burned some charcoal. That would probably do the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you're burning regular wood, and I mean, that's why, we typically don't recommend using all the like heavily treated stuff, because it just puts off a little bit more. I mean,
Nasty.
And again, as a company, we don't recommend it, but we've also done it.
Yeah.
So, no liability for us. So that was one thing I wanted to touch on there. One of the other ones, people were kind of just commenting on some of the luxury items that we were talking about last time. Air pump for air mattress.
Dude,
beard and gun.
I need to get one so bad.
Yeah.
I think it's like the Flex Tail or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think there's a few. I mean, Stuart from Born Outdoors, like, he highly recommends. And I was talking to him about, filling up air mattresses, and I didn't think about this, but like every time you're blowing in there, you're putting, moisture and bacteria. It's how, like, things can go wrong inside there. So it makes sense. And when you're up at 10,000 feet and you start blowing up your air mattress, you definitely get lightheaded.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I need to get one. When I was hunting in New Zealand, like seeing everybody have one, I was like, come on, I need to get one. Need to just make the purchase.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, if you have a self-inflating air pad, set that up. And then,
I've never seen a self-inflating air pad self-inflate. I think it's a scam.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen them, they get like more.
They get a little bit more, but
they never inflate all the way. No, that's for sure.
Not even like a lot.
Not even close.
Like it's negative suction. That's it.
Yeah, but you have to. If you top it off, you'll be.
Yeah. It gets you closer.
It's
for sure,
less. But. Yeah. But I mean that was one of them, and then a couple people were talking about like ultralight chairs and stuff like that. Ultralight hammock, that would be sweet.
The ultralight chair has like been my go-to for sure. Is an amazing luxury item.
Mm-hmm.
Picked one up at REI. I think it was like $100, and I use it all the time.
Yeah,
every trip, it's worth having.
Yep.
So,
which not going to give anything away, but stay tuned to Seek Outside. There might be something coming in that realm, possibly.
All these innovative things we're working on.
Yeah. I mean that was the bulk of it. I would say anybody, if you learn anything on a trip recently, a gear hot tip, or you have something, we always appreciate seeing those comments and hearing from people on that. So feel free to let us know. We're experts on tents, but don't know everything. There's lots of stuff we don't know about the woods. That's for sure.
This is a fact.
So, cool. All right. Well, let's get on to happy hour here.
Yep.
Got some fun stuff to talk about. Welcome to the Seek Outside Happy Hour. We might have to change the name, or just maybe we should get coffees. Can we get like Black Rifle to sponsor this or something like that?
That'd be nice.
That'd be sick.
I don't drink coffee, but
oh yeah.
What we need is Kirkland seltzers.
There we go. Yeah. Let's hit up old King Supers, old City Market.
That's Costco, dude.
Kroger. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. My bad. Just thinking of Simple Truth Organic.
Oh yeah.
Seltzer hour. It's happy seltzer hour.
Happy seltzer hour.
Wake up time. Morning brew. The morning cup.
The morning
Joe.
Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Copyright infringement.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically in this segment, we scour the internet for the most interesting outdoor related stories. I don't know how much scouring Connor does, because it's usually just the first 3 that pop up on Outside Line online. But
he's got a really hard job.
Hard job, yeah. Tough work. But no, I like these ones this week. There were some good ones. I want to start off. This is freaking impressive. So there's this woman, Erin Tunn. Is this boring to you?
No, I'm just like,
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. I know.
this guy's mean to me.
But no, there's this. So Erin Tunn, she's actually out of Thornton, Colorado.
Okay.
And she has been hiking all the 14ers in high heels and dresses.
That's badass.
It is. It's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
The ankle strength on the lady must be insane.
I know. And like, you think about Long's Peak. Like, I've never done it. Only done one 14er in my life.
So she's going to do Capital in high heels.
Yeah. No, she's working on all of them.
That's crazy.
But like Long's Peak, I know for a fact that I think they call it the keyhole or something like that. You basically have to like shimmy your way up these rocks in high heels and a dress.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That's gnarly.
But it's kind of a cool story because she grew up in Thornton, the epicenter of all things outdoors in Colorado, but then she ended up moving to upstate New York for college.
Yeah,
and I resonated with this because I had a very similar experience when I moved to Georgia. You go out east, there's just a general lack of public land, and she realized that she had been taking it for granted. So she moved back here, and she just embarked on just being a badass. So I want to get her on the podcast just to hear what the inspiration and why in high heels. Yeah, it's very impressive. So
it's pretty badass. I mean, could you imagine? Like, I would think that hiking 14ers in flip flops would be easier, and I think that would still be pretty shit.
Yeah. Like when I think of hiking in flip flops, hiking up a 14er in flip flops, it like makes me hurt inside. Yeah. It makes me.
You have immediate pain.
Yeah, and I'm just not I can't do flip flops. Open toed shoes freak me out. You think about hiking it in that, but on like a platform and doing it on your tippy toes every step
and breaking your ankle every second.
Yeah,
my ankles could not take it.
No. So props to her, Erin Tunn. I encourage you guys to check that story out because it's pretty cool. Kind of a good segue into the next one. So Grays and Tories, two popular 14ers here in Colorado. Yeah, a lot of people do them back to back. There was a couple hikers that got struck by lightning, and the rescuers believe that this was the highest successful rescue helicopter attempt, and obviously successful one at that's ever been. And really? I thought that was interesting because you would think that maybe there would have been one somewhere else, but you also have to think about like helicopters,
like just in Colorado or what?
They thought it was ever, but really? I mean, I don't know how they can measure that.
Like Denali, some of the big peaks that there'd be.
That's what I would think, but maybe it's planes that they're getting them out, because helicopters, I mean, once you get up to 14,000 feet, I was reading about it. No helicopter expert here, but I'm more of an expert now than old Connor here. So, but once you get up to high altitude, the air is less thick, and especially dry stuff out here in Colorado, they can't get as much loft. So,
really,
I could believe it, which is crazy. But
so they have it pinned at 14,000.
I suppose so.
Huh.
But I would have thought that was like the main way of rescue for these high mountain things.
That's interesting.
But I guess it gets kind of tough. And this kind of relates to a lot of the stuff we've talked about, but basically a couple guys were on a road trip out here from New York.
Yep. And
I don't know if they just got a wild hair, decided to hike Grays and Tories. It's right off I-70, so they're like, oh yeah, let's bomb over there. And funny enough, or not funny, but they must not have been very experienced, because they were actually on the phone with search and rescue because they had gotten lost.
Oh.
Search and rescue leads them up to the top of this mountain.
Yep.
And they're on the phone trying to figure out how to get down, and the guy gets struck by lightning.
That's insane. Unfortunate. Insanely unfortunate.
Yeah.
Did he die, or he good?
No, he's alive.
It's crazy that you can survive. Like, so many people survive a lightning strike.
Yeah.
I feel like if I got zapped, I'd be done. They're
Yeah.
just toast.
Just give up.
Yeah.
It is wild, especially like in that situation. You're probably already gassed from hiking.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
from low altitude.
Yeah.
You get up there, you would think that your heart would just be like, "No, I'm
Done.
out.
Boop.
I'm out."
Yeah, that's interesting for sure.
But it points to a bigger issue. I mean, there's just more and more of these. Like we talked about it last episode with the people getting into it with bison in Yellowstone. But like Washington, I was reading another article where local sheriff is basically, threatening to charge hikers with negligence because they're going out on these hikes with not being prepared. They see some Instagram thing. They're going out there. They're being like, "Oh, I can do that." And
Costing a lot of money
yeah,
to the taxpayer.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Helicopter, like search and rescue with a helicopter and like a full team. You have any idea how much it is per hour?
No, tell me.
$3,000 per hour. to operate that.
$3,000 per hour. Damn.
And most of these search and rescue missions are, 12, 13 hours. I mean, if they're in extreme stuff, because you got to think like from the time that they start, they got to get the helicopter, they got to summon everybody.
Yep.
So
That's gnarly. That's why you buy a fishing license here in Colorado, because search and rescue included.
Yep. And I know in a lot of states you can just get the little search and rescue card. If you don't buy a fishing license, it's like $10 a year or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so worth it.
It is. Because if you get into a situation like that, it's just, I mean,
yeah, I think you should always try and be prepared, like a little bit. I've definitely gone into stuff and been less prepared than I should have. And it's a scary feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty experienced in the outdoors.
Yeah. But like if you're, I don't think that the first thing that you hike should be a 14er. That's for sure.
No, it's the hype.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of 12,000 foot peaks that are fun to hike.
Yeah. Yeah. And like,
and the difference between we live at Colorado sea level. We live at 4,500 feet.
Colorado sea level.
It is Colorado sea level.
Yeah.
And, if I go up to 12, 13,000 feet, I definitely feel short of breath.
Oh,
but
100%.
the difference from 12 to 14 is so exponential.
It's crazy.
At 14, the air is really thin, even compared to 12.
Yeah. Makes you wonder how people even get up to base camp at Everest.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. It's insane.
They got to acclimate for days, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a week at a time or something.
Yep.
Just camp there to survive.
That's why people are huffing gas now.
Yeah, dude, gas huffing. Get me in, count me in. Galaxy Gas on Everest.
Galaxy Gas. Maybe that'll be a new brand.
Yeah.
Start at Everest Gas.
Everest Gas.
Yeah.
It'll
marketed to
it'll take you sky high.
Sky high. Marketed to high performance athletes.
Yeah. And Sea Outside no longer makes tents.
We're making brain rot. All right. The big one, public lands.
Yeah, dude. Fired up. So
I'm sure all you guys know that, our esteemed guest of the show, friend of the program, Mike Lee, is looking to sell off. He basically put a provision in the budget bill that required public land, basically certain public lands to be sold off over the next 5 years. And it just seems, this is always under the guise of affordable housing. I mean,
even though it's not even in the bill that it says affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's just what they say.
Yeah.
They're like, it'll be for affordable housing. I mean, we've seen it here in Grand Junction. There have been multiple places since I've lived here, since you've lived here, that have been, the people say it's going to be affordable housing.
And it's still over the price range of any working person in town.
Yeah. Or they just change it and they're like, oh, sorry, we couldn't get enough funding to make it affordable. So actually we're going to make it luxury housing instead. That's it. Look, if it was for sure, if you were to make the bill for sure, put something in there. Hey, these houses are going to be 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And they're
under $200,000.
Yeah, or rent is going to be under $500 a month.
Yeah.
you would at least have some people talking about it, right?
You'd have a little bit of support.
Yeah, because I mean that is like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have all, you know, if there's more people in the United States, there's going to be more houses. So, but this was not that. The thing I thought, because as of today, you know, the first portion of it was stripped. Mike Lee said that he was going to come back, make some, you know, he was saying like, oh, we won't have any public land or it'll only be public land within 5 miles of residential housing. Well,
which is still insane. Yeah. Cause like the areas we recreate in, like Lunch Loops here in Junction, is near residential housing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you're going to lose an entire trail system where a whole town recreates.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah.
And that's the thing, like Lunch Loops. Oh, so you're going to build affordable housing there? Like in front of like you're going to put up an apartment complex that's affordable housing that blocks the view of these, you know, $2-3 million houses.
Of the National Monument.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Clear out all the 10,000 ton boulders as well? Like,
yeah. No.
It's just crazy.
It's a bad proposal. The thing that I've been stoked on is that, I mean, this kind of shows that democracy and that it works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, lots of people spoke out. Some people spoke out that you wouldn't think would typically speak out about this type of thing. Basically, every big company, you know, from the Sitkas to the Outside Online, companies with lots at stake that typically don't get political, speaking out. And I mean, it got shot down.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, it's my whole feed, you know, on Instagram or Facebook is all about public lands right now. And it's great to see because I think it is the biggest resource we have, you know? I am amazed at some companies who haven't spoken up about it. Like you get like mountain bike companies, like the only reason there's mountain biking is because there's public land. Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I won't name names, but I have noticed a few companies that have steered clear.
Yeah.
Which is very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I understand not getting political, but when if you're in the outdoor industry, your whole customer base uses public land.
Yeah. Like us, Seek Outside.
Yeah.
I would venture that, I mean, not many people are putting a tent on private land.
No.
You know?
I mean, maybe at some like big giant hunting ranch.
Yeah.
You know, but that's about it.
Or if you got a lease or something like that. But for the most part, our customers are taking this into wild places, public lands.
Yep.
You know, same thing with backpacks, all this stuff. So,
and when there's no public lands, not only does it hurt our recreation opportunities in hunting, you know, whatever recreation we want to do, it also hurts our job.
Yeah.
You know, like our jobs are at stake. If there isn't places for people to recreate, we can't sell tents.
Yeah. So. Like it's not hyperbole to say that if public lands were sold off, that it would kill lots of businesses.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you talk about Lunch Loops there here in Grand Junction. I mean, there's a whole like micro economy.
Oh, there's a whole so much money.
Yeah, that's directly centered around people coming to that specific spot that was possible to be sold off, which would probably be sold off because that would be the prime. It's close to other residentials. There's already
easy to throw a house. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you think about shout out to Handlebar, the restaurant. That's literally a restaurant that's
for mountain bikers.
Yeah.
And like trail users. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I worked there for a little bit. The whole thing is like April, May, when bike season is peak. That's their peak season. Yeah. A lot of restaurants, it's like summer months or whatever. Theirs is centered around around
mountain bike season.
Mountain biking. There's multiple restaurants in Grand Junction that are like
outdoor based.
Trail life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just bad. I mean, props to everybody that has been speaking out. And like I said, you know, I mean, there are times where you could consider like little portions or whatever if the wording was correct and if it actually did help American citizens. But I mean, this was not. This was just point blank not going to help anybody.
Yeah, I mean, It is not, obviously, when the podcast comes out, it's not the day, but today's the June 25th.
26th, Or, 25th.
25th, which is the Flood the Lines Day for BHA. Just because it's not 1 acre. You move once, you lose it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's kind of the way with most laws. Like, you let one thing happen, you're going to lose it all.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the thing is, like, with this bill, how it's written, and I don't know this, no expert on legal stuff, but would that be like, okay, so or like what he was saying about, make it lands within 5 miles of already established towns or whatever. Okay, so then you build something 5 miles from town.
does that create another establishment that you can build 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the Brooks Range is within proximity of a housing development, right?
Yeah.
So, it's no
ugly.
good.
Ugly.
And I'm stoked to see everybody kind of jumping and calling senators, and it's great.
There's a lot of if you're listening and you haven't reached out to a senator or your representatives, calling is one of the best ways. Just flood the lines. Number 2, there's multiple websites, such as like the Outdoor Alliance, where you can just, if you don't want to make the call, you're too nervous, scared, whatever, you can go on there. It curates you an email that you can also adjust, and you put your address in there, and it sends it to your rep. So your representatives and, people in the Senate.
Yep.
So like for us, it's like Hickenlooper and then Bennett.
Yep.
And then our rep is Jeff Hurd. Yeah. And so like I put my information in there, did the email, boom. Like it went out to all of them. And then I've also called all of them as well.
Yep.
And it's Flood the Lines Day.
Yep.
I think we should all call again today.
Definitely hit it. And probably, even if this is after, I would still say call. Like we should still call, even if it's killed, because this is always going to be about. I mean, people have been trying to take little pieces of public land forever. I mean, that's a thing. So if you can always call, keep people's minds, make sure like we're setting a hard line here. This is one thing I'm not going to stand for. That's a good one. The other one is howl.org. They have that same thing where you can, but theirs is kind of cool because you can submit a video, which is tight. And, so it's a little bit different if you want to put your face out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, regardless, do something because and this isn't the only thing. I mean, there's other attacks on wilderness and stuff like that at this time, if you're the type of person that doesn't want that to change, which I think we are, we like having our wild places. I mean, I get, like growing world, there are some things, but there are also places that should always remain wild.
Yep.
And so it's not just this public land sell-off that we got to be vigilant on. It's
everything in the future.
Yeah, it's a good time to be active. And like you said, there are some awesome. They've just made it so much easier to hit you up, and it was kind of cool because I called Hickenlooper a couple times, and he actually responded to me. He sent me an email.
Oh, really?
In response, saying, basically vowing his support. So I think,
or his lack of support.
Yeah, his support of our message
of opposing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, public land sell off, bad. Seek outside, good.
Seek outside.
No. Had to end it on a high note there.
Yeah. So what else we got? Guest?
Yeah. That kind of wraps up the happy hour podcast. The interview today is Chis Denham from the Western Hunter. Awesome interview talking about just publications, YouTube stuff, how the digital world has changed with hunting and outdoor media.
Nice. And
he's been all over the world hunting, and just a really fun guy to talk to. So enjoy. Have a good 4th. Happy 4th. Good time to remember just how awesome we have it. I mean, this public land thing is the fact that we can even be fighting this fight is pretty sweet, because just nowhere else in the world do they really have this problem?
So-
And that's why it's so worth fighting to protect. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, peace.
enjoy the 4th. But I love the backdrop there.
Yeah,
That's those all Coos deer there.
those are Coos deer, Kodiak blacktail, and eastern whitetail, and some. There's a couple of sheep over there.
Nice.
A couple of mule deer underneath there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is my office here, so it's really is a man cave. I mean, there's a couple antelope over here and javelina skulls and mountain lion skulls, but there's no elk. You notice there's no elk here because they don't fit. So the elk, there's a couple elk in the garage, and the rest of them are at the office,
Nice.
around the warehouse and different places like that. But because this is definitely kind of it's a cave, but it's my cave.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
If you're like, well, I can't fit the elk in here, so I'll throw the Coos deer, the whitetails, and the sheep. Looked like you had a doll sheep over there.
Yeah, the doll in a desert.
In a desert.
Yeah. Got the desert here and then the doll up in Alaska, but that's probably it for me, barring any kind of crazy luck, in the draws.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty. Do you have a bighorn at all, or
no, not yet.
just the desert?
Not yet. And really, Arizona's my. I could always possibly draw Oregon or get lucky in Nevada, but Arizona's always my best chance, and my odds are even extreme here because I killed my desert here back in 06. Yeah, like 06. I have like 20 points.
Okay.
But even that in Arizona, that's I'm in like the way less than 1% chance. So it's 2 sheep's probably my limit.
I mean, those are, in my opinion, those are probably the 2 coolest, is the desert and the doll. I mean,
I agree. I mean, I love the look of stone sheep, but I mean, it's so unrealistic, price wise.
yeah.
Even the raffles. I mean, you're looking at 1 in 1,000 odds. I kind of got past that point in my life where I want to gamble on odds like that. I'd rather just spend the money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you have like the 2 ends of this. You have the yin and the yang of sheep.
Yes.
You have the high country one that survives the coldest temperatures, and then the one that just scrapes it by in the desert. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. No doubt.
Well, I want to give you a quick introduction. So we're rolling here.
Okay.
We have a special guest today. This is Chis Denham, Western hunter. I'm sure you guys have seen him if you've ever watched any of their content or read any of their blogs, their reviews. They have a great website. To me, Western Hunter is a legend, just the company that you have manned and been a part of. I always like to point out that the TV show that you guys put on between yourself and Nate is probably the best hunting TV show that's out there. I mean, just the cinematography, the way you guys tell stories. To me, it is the first thing that I put on when I'm starting to get the juices flowing after the previous hunting season and I want to get stoked for this next one. I throw Western Hunter on, read all your guys' gear reviews and stuff like that. So
appreciate that.
Hopefully that's a good enough introduction, but I'll let you kind of take the reins here and tell people that may not know who you are and what you do there.
Yeah, no. So I'm the publisher of Western Hunter magazine and the executive producer of Western Hunter TV, which I'm still, my business card actually says I'm the war chief because nobody knows what that is, and really I'm not even sure I know what publisher and executive producer means anymore, except for I'm the guy that kind of worries about everything, it's my life, it's what we're going on our 23rd, going on 20, almost 24 years with Western Hunter magazine.
Wow.
And then Western Hunter TV here in about less than a month now. Like 3 weeks. Episode 1 of season 13 will air. So been 13 seasons of Western Hunter TV and getting ready to start filming season 14.
Yeah, that's a long time. That's awesome.
It's interesting what you said about Western Hunter TV and how it's your favorite show. It just feels like it's real. And what's interesting to me is when we started it's the reason I feel like in talking with viewers and fans over the years, it's because we just basically do what y'all do. Where there just happens to be a camera there, and we document it. We do, it's public land hunts. We're DIY guys, to our soul, really. I mean, everything we do. I mean, I was thinking I was just finished putting a load of jerky in, and I gardened, and I was like, just everything. I just enjoy doing things myself, and Nate's the same way, all the way down to the fact that Nate is the guy. Not only is he a legend in front of the camera, he's a legend behind the camera. He's a legend behind the computer because he's the guy that makes the stories work.
Wow.
He worries about every little detail of storytelling and how important dialogue is at a particular moment in time, how important shots work together, how important the music is when it comes in at the right time, all the way down to our voiceovers when we talk very specifically about what we need to say in the voiceover that wasn't clear, on screen, about how we were feeling and what our goals were, things like that we may not have said while we were there. He's just a master just a master storyteller. And
well, you guys do it. You guys, I mean, that's a good point because you guys do a really great job. And what I like about how you guys, kind of paint the picture of a specific hunt is I think a lot of content out there does they try to hype it up. It's like extreme, and there's extreme music, which is fun. Some people love that, but that's not the experience that I get when I'm in the woods. It's more kind of the music that you guys use, the kind of slower cinematic shots that you guys use are much more similar to kind of like how I perceive my hunts and the woods when I'm in the hunt. So you guys do a really great job, and that's you and Nate. And so, I mean, I definitely applaud you guys for that.
It's so true too. Is we're working on the September-October issue of Western Hunter, and we're doing a complete overhaul, essentially a remodel of the magazine, just for the look and the feel. And my wife's a psychiatrist, and we've been married. We just had our 39th anniversary a couple weeks ago.
Congrats.
So she kind of knows what hunting's about, even though she doesn't hunt. She probably understands it better than any non-hunter out there. And she wrote an article in this coming issue about balance and life balance, and she talks about that when we're hunting, it's not about loud music. It's not about thumping, adrenaline. It's 98% what some people that don't hunt would call it boring. We're carrying, and not just boring, but hard boring.
Yeah.
We're carrying heavy packs. We're climbing. We're sleeping on the ground. We're eating, food out of a bag. You're glassing for hours on end with sometimes nothing to show for it. But that time of quiet boredom is what makes the entire experience at the end. It's what you remember, and it's funny, you remember the boring parts, because in life, usually the boring parts are the parts everybody's trying to avoid.
Yeah.
And as hunters, we're kind of seeking out the hard, boring stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to enjoy it to some extent.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, so I kind of want to start at the beginning. So how did you get involved with the outdoor industry and then Western Hunter eventually?
It's funny. My start in the outdoor industry was not, there was no plan at all. It was pretty much pure necessity. And I graduated college with a degree in agriculture. And I was working. My wife was still finishing up her. We got married right after I graduated, and she still had another year, and she was applying to medical school. But she still had another year, so I had a job here in the Phoenix area working at an agricultural lab. And then when she got accepted in medical school, we moved down to Tucson, and I moved into the field working for this ag company. I was doing sampling farms, working with farmers on soil samples, tissue samples, fertilizer recommendations, and also with golf courses. Well, when farming kind of shuts down going into August, September, and prior to that, I was working like 60 to 80 hours a week. And my boss kept saying, "Hey, don't worry about it. I know it's a lot of hours now, but come fall, shoot, you'd be lucky if if you're working 20 hours a week." I'm like, "All right, I can put up with this." Well, then about 1st of August, he says, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep you on this winter. I don't know if we have enough work." I'm like, "You bastard." He just sucked me dry all summer long. But so, I mean, I started putting in, I had a job opportunity with Department of Water Resources, a government job, but that was going to be like 3 or 4 months before their hiring cycle opened up. So I just started putting in job applications at sporting goods stores out of pure necessity. I mean, I needed a paycheck next Friday in order to pay the rent on Monday. It wasn't like, hey, I'm going to go try to get into the outdoor industry. Well, I went to this store called Jensen's Custom Ammo in Tucson, which was like Mecca for hunters in southern Arizona. I mean, Jensen's was the store. And I finally happened to mention that I spoke some Spanish. And that was the key.
Nice.
We had a lot of clientele from Mexico and stuff that come up, and I learned gun store Spanish and was able to and got a job for $3.85 an hour with a college degree, with the plan of working there for 3 months.
Wow.
And then when the hiring cycle came up, I told the owner of the shop, I said, I'm going to probably be leaving pretty soon, and they offered me a manager's job. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to get paid $19,000 a year and work 60 hours a week at Jensen's. That sounds like a great deal. And, so, I took that and started working retail, and then moved to the wholesale division. We're doing some import stuff. And then when my wife finished medical school, we were moving back to Phoenix. I transitioned into sales rep. Swarovski was one of the brands. I was independent sales rep, so I had multiple brands, but Swarovski was one of them. And this is back, 1995 or so. So, I mean, Most people in the country didn't even know, you couldn't even pronounce Swarovski. When I went and did seminars, I had to start every seminar with, how do you pronounce Swarovski? And we had to tell them, you swear off skiing. That's Swarovski. And that's how unknown the brand was at the time. But just, again, then, how I got down the Western Hunter path is the Outdoorsman's was a shop in Phoenix. And it was the first sales call I ever made. He had just gotten his first order of Swarovski in, like 6 pieces, which was a big deal to have 6 pieces. Now they can sell 6 a day. But
that's a lot of money, though, to buy in.
Yeah, it's a big buy-in, especially in those days when hunting was in a different place back then. Spending that much money on optics was, most people considered that crazy.
Yeah.
And so, I got to meet Floyd Green, who owns the Outdoorsman's, and years later we decided we needed to create our own advertising tool, because we were coming out with a tripod, and advertising was so expensive back then because there were so few options.
Yeah.
There was no nothing. I mean, digital didn't even exist yet. Very few people had email addresses, let alone access to the internet. It was all dial up. There was no, the Facebook, all social media didn't even exist yet. And in fact, I'm writing an article for this next issue of the magazine, and kind of the origin story, kind of some of the things I just mentioned. And I Googled, when did social media start? And Facebook didn't start till 2006 or 2007. So, I mean, we're talking 7-8 years before social media even existed.
Yeah.
So back to that, we decided to start this magazine, which was really, we called it a matalog. It was kind of half magazine, half catalog. And we gave it away. We bought lists of people who drew tags in the West, and we mailed it to them for free. And then, but sometimes you'd fall off that list. You didn't get it all the time. And then people started saying, well, can I get a subscription? And I'm like, well, we don't even know how to do that. That's e-commerce. It was brand new. And so it took a while to kind of get the subscription model going. But eventually we did. And then the TV show is still, I loved, because I had hired Ryan Hatfield was my editor at the time, and he called me up and he said, I think we should start a TV show. And I told Ryan, I said, that might be the dumbest idea you've ever had. I have no interest whatsoever in outdoor TV. I'd seen it all and I didn't like it. I was like, no, I don't want to be there. And it's expensive. And he said, well, Nate's on his own now, and he's looking to do some work. And so I met with Nate at the ATA show, and he pitched his idea for the show. I said, well, let's film a pilot. Let's just see how we like it. And so I hadn't even turned on a camera at that point yet. So we did, filmed the pilot, produced it, and I just fell in love with his idea of what it was going to be or what it could be. So we took the leap and started the show, which in our world it's a risky venture because there's a lot of capital outlay to start with, and when you don't have a name of any kind, it's really hard to get people to buy in on a sponsorship level, and that's the only way you make money and pay your bills. Yeah. But it's worked, and now it's we're, like I said, we're getting ready to air season 13, and season 14 we start filming in about 2 months.
Awesome. I love hearing that. That's an interesting point that you bring up, just about how you guys started in this whole different, it might as well have been a different century from where we're at now.
Yeah, I know.
It almost was, but how has specifically on the, there's got to be huge changes that have happened since then to now. But what is that? You talk about capital and startup of a TV show. I would imagine it's a lot easier now. You see these YouTube channels popping up. Is it? Do you see it as kind of being very similar, where now, yes, it might be a little cheaper to get in, but there's more competition? How has that outdoor media changed over the years?
Yeah, that's really the crux of it. Is there's more opportunity because of YouTube. YouTube came out. That was part of my research. I think it was 2007, 2008 when YouTube started. Mm-hmm. That opened a door for producers, to have a platform, and it was free. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, with the way it is now with outdoor TV, it's what we call a pay to play model. The network doesn't pay us for our shows. We pay them to put them on the air for us. Yeah. So we're the customer essentially, and which actually I love that now that I've worked with shows that are in the other model where they're selling their show to the networks. The networks buy it from them. Sounds like the easy button, but those poor guys, the networks put them through heck trying to tell them they can't say this, they can't do this, they can't show this. And we don't have any of those parameters. We have parameters for sure, but they're all parameters we would, if I was the guy in charge of the Sportsman Channel and Outdoor Channel, I would write them. I would have the same parameters that they put on us. I think they're good. But yeah, so it's still expensive because you still have to have that startup. And it is definitely more competitive in that there's like a company, say, like the Primo, I call it the Primos model. They Primos had a product to sell. Mm-hmm. And they created a TV show to sell that product, and they were ridiculously successful at doing that. Yeah. But Primos has a big budget. They've got a lot of money they can throw at that. Whereas independent producers like ourselves, we just look at your bank account. What do you got? That's it. That's your assets right there. Yeah. So the thing, you have to be able to cash flow really quick. You got to be signing sponsors right away, and just the dilution effect of YouTube, social media, internet advertising, all those things that I talked about, why we started Western Hunter Magazine. Those less expensive models didn't exist, but now they do. So, you go to a company and they're looking at their marketing budget, and they've got about 12 line items in their marketing budget. And back in those days, there was print, there was TV, there was 2 line items. Those are the only things that you could do. You could actually sponsor a TV show, or you could buy print magazine, print advertising. because are going to go to trade shows because, again, all those other avenues didn't even exist. So definitely a big dilution effect that makes it really difficult for somebody to come in and make a sales pitch on a sponsorship contract that's large enough to actually, start catching up on your budget.
Yeah. Well, and hunting's an interesting one too, because, the hunting TV show, you don't have to. I mean, you guys have had shows where, you're unsuccessful. Mm-hmm. But in general, like if you're going over the counter here in Colorado, just rifle season, hiking in a mile or something like that, you're probably not going to be putting out good TV because there's going to be other people. You're not going to see a lot. Yeah. Hunting is interesting because I think you definitely have to have some element of suspense and like seeing animals. Even if you don't get one, there's got to be some like theme to it. And with that, I mean, I know both of you guys talk about it on the TV show as part of the narration, like putting in for other states. Mm-hmm. That's very expensive. I mean, those tags are, you go to Utah or, it's way over $1,000 when you factor in travel and all that stuff. So you have to have a good plan. And I think the sponsorship, it's not like some other things where that money is going strictly to you or, to making a living. Yeah. Like a lot of that's going for tags and gear and, new this, new that.
Yeah. I mean, I put on 25,000 miles a year on my rig. Nate's doing probably a little bit less because he lives a little more in the heart of the Northern Rockies. But yeah, it's the expenses are pretty ridiculous because we obviously keep track of all that, and you look at a hunt and you're like, dang, somehow we managed to spend $3,000, in 10 days, and because it just adds up really fast. And to your point with applications, when you look at like Wyoming, I put myself in for special deer and special antelope, trying to get a tag, which he should, I probably won't. But it's like $1,200. I mean, for a deer tag, and
crazy.
There was a time I was like, I don't know if I actually want to draw this tag. That's it's a lot of money. Yeah, and you look at the draw odds. It's something like in this September or this issue right now that's going to print probably like as we speak. My graphic designer is probably loading the July-August issue with the printer. We talk a lot about the bonus point situation and the draw situation across the West, just what a precarious point we're at in that there's times it's near impossible to draw a tag. You look at Wyoming. They started a bonus point program, almost 25 years ago now, I think. And, a sheep bonus point was $100. Well, guys jumped in and, some guys jumped in 3 years late, and so they're a couple points behind, but they're like, hey, 25% go to non-residents. Well, then Wyoming changed it to 10%. Now, all of a sudden, that guy that's invested $100 a year for 20 years, he literally statistically has no chance of ever drawing a sheep tag in Wyoming. Yeah. That stuff's happening everywhere. And it's like I talk a bit in the magazine about my strategy anymore is just give me I'm going for what is considered like low quality hunts, that I've got a reasonable chance to draw. Because for two reasons. First of all, I love to hunt. Second of all, we need to make 13 episodes. And I'll try, like I have a Colorado deer tag this year I'm going to call it the pumpkin jungle because it's going to be orange heads everywhere I look. But I mean, I've done that hunt twice and I've seen a good buck on each hunt. One got away from me because it was last minute of the last day, and another one, it's like 185 inch buck. I found him. I'm all excited. I go to tell Randy, and I hear a shot, and I turn around, and I look, and the deer's laying there dead.
Oh, no.
It was going to take me a half a day to get over there, but literally somebody else was right there and killed that deer. Yeah. But again, we need to get 13 episodes done. And I think if I do one or two hunts a year where there's just kind of people everywhere, I'm actually okay with that. I'll do that. I'll just try to, what I always joke and say, we hunt on public land, but we try to turn public land into private land as much as we can by hiking far enough that we have it to ourselves, Whereas
horses, mules.
Private land hunter just writes the check and he gets it all to himself. So,
yeah. I mean, that is tricky, and it's got to be a little bit harder just carrying our cameraman around. I think about it, especially the archery episodes, right? So maybe you can dive into that, just like how you guys typically film an episode. You guys have multiple cameramen, because I do notice that you guys have some really awesome, cinematic shots that are. I could just imagine that takes a little bit more effort. Are you guys taking multiple cameras? What's your process for filming an episode look like typically?
I would say 95% of the time, it's one cameraman. There's just one guy, just me and Nate, me and Randy, or Nate and Randy, or Nate, and we have 3 or 4 different subcontractors that work with us, but it's usually just one cameraman. And when it is just, like I said, typically one, when when I'm glassing, he's working. That's getting those shots. Getting the shot of that chipmunk, coming up over a log, and and that red-tailed hawks, swooping down, and the flowers, the frost burning off in the morning. Those kind of shots. Those guys are just constantly looking for that. That to build that storyline and that timeline for a day. The sun rising, clouds streaking across the sky, things to kind of build a timeline to carry the story along. But as far, Nate's exclusively a bow hunter. If anybody's watched the show, you realize, except for the, times of old when he shot that elk in Idaho with a muzzleloader round ball.
Yeah.
He had to do it the hardest way you could possibly do it.
The musket.
Musket in a terrible weather, super late season. But so Nate, but Nate's really good. He knows, obviously he's an incredible bow hunter, and he just communicates really well with his camera guys as far as like what they need to be doing, like right now. Like, you need to be right behind me. Let's, stop here. And he's really good at picking out. He's just gotten really good at picking out a spot, ambush spots, and so on, where the cameraman can get the shot. And it is like, I can only remember one time when we had when my son we had a rifle antelope hunt in Wyoming, and my son, it was on the rifle, and we're after this buck, and Mark is set up. He just crawled up to an edge, and he's set up on the antelope buck, and Randy was trying to get the camera up on the tripod so he could see over the edge too. But as he did that, as he raised up, the antelope busted him and ran off. And we're like, that blew it. And then, like 3 seconds later, another antelope buck come running over to see what the fuss was, and he was better than the one that just spooked. Mark shot that one, and so it was all good.
Yeah.
So but it does happen. There's times when I've been in New Mexico, especially, where I hunt elk a lot. It's real thick trees, and it's dense. And I mean, there's times, we have days when we're within 100 yards of elk for hours and never actually get one on film. You never even see them. It's just, you're just there. And I'll wonder how, an elk saw me, because, I was perfectly still and I was all but concealed. There's no way that elk could have seen me. Then I'll see the footage, and you see the footage goes like this. Well, because whoever the cameraman was stepped just a little bit to get the view, and that's what the elk saw, and I didn't see it because it was happening behind me. So I mean, that certainly has happened a couple of times, but it's surprisingly rare.
Yeah,
it is surprisingly rare.
So you've been doing it a long time. I mean, obviously, 13, 14 years. Do you ever? Well, I guess two questions. Do you every year, do you take 1 or 2 hunts to yourself without a cameraman? And number 2, have you found over those years that you've enjoyed the art of filming the hunt more, or have you, been like, man, I wish I didn't have to carry these guys around, every year with me?
Yeah, it's honestly a little bit of both, in that when we're on a hunt, whoever the cameraman is, his job is to film. That's his job. Everything else is my job. From making sure we have all the right gear there, making sure the food's taken care of, making sure we got enough water, making sure, I'm the one that cooks breakfast, lunch, make sure that everybody's got enough food, which all is just, at this point, it's not even stress. It's just part of the job. It's just what I have to do, but it takes days sometimes ahead of hunts to get all that, to keep everything organized in that regard. But there's so many times when it's done, I'm like, it's so worth it. One of the things I feel so incredibly blessed for having done this long is now I have a granddaughter that's 2, be 3, and I have a grandson that is less than a year old. He'd be 1 here in October, September, or no, August. He was premature, but like 10 years from now, I'm going to get to sit down with them and watch Western Hunter. They're going to get to see what Tata did, 20 years ago, and man, there's not many people, and it's beautiful, it's awesome. It's great stories, how many people really, I'm one of very few people that's going to have the opportunity to do that with my grandkids. Yeah. And they'll get to, experience it all again. I get to experience it all again. But to your earlier question too, Nate and I pretty much hunt in January is kind of our deal. We did film a hunt in Mexico last January, but then we shot right back over to Arizona and went Coos deer hunting and javelina hunting for ourselves. Nice. Yeah, we've never filmed one. We've killed, between us now, I think we've killed 5 bucks in Arizona in the last 4 or 5 years, and we haven't filmed one yet. Nice. And then in February, I'd love to hunt javelina out here in Arizona. Some people kind of laugh at javelina hunting, but it's just so much fun. I love hunting things that don't have antlers for a change. You just go find one that looks good. Let's go after them. It's none of that, stress or how big is he, or there's no dick measuring contest at the end of the day. It's like, oh, you got one. Oh, awesome. Me and another buddy, we started a nonprofit organization about 15, 16 years ago called the Outdoor Experience for All. We take kids and veterans with disabilities and kids with terminal diagnosis on hunts too. Nice. So I usually get out on at least one hunt each fall, and get on one of those hunts where it's not about me at all. It's That's just great. All about something that, somebody else. I try to. This year, I was probably on 4 or 5 hunts that we didn't film, but it's definitely gotten to the point where at the end of some of those, I'm like, God, I wish we filmed this. Yeah, this would have been fun to watch again.
Yeah, and that's a great point about like having your kids watch it, because especially with hunting, I think, and especially the way that you guys do it with kind of like, it's not all about the kill, right? I think it's such a great way to have your grandkids or your kids, be able to see kind of who you are in the woods. Because I think being on a hunt, especially get to day 3, 4, 5, waking up early, hiking a bunch of miles, that's where you really kind of find out who you are. And it's awesome that, because you guys are always killing stuff late in the trips. Yeah. So it's great to have your grandchildren be able to see just that resolve and that determination, and like kind of get to see some of those character things that they might not get to see when they're at home hanging out watching the football game.
Yeah, it's one of the best compliments that I ever got on the TV show was at a trade show, and a family came up, and the wife, she said to me, she goes, I love watching your show. And I was like, oh, so you hunt? She's like, no, not at all. She said, but my husband started watching it, and he just always talking about it. So I finally sat down and watched an episode with him. And she said, after I watched that show, I understood better what he does, why he does it, why he loves it. I understand my husband better because of Western Hunter. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. That families can kind of join in on the experience, because again, we're doing the same thing y'all are doing. Going on hunts, taking care of ourselves, packing our own stuff, and and just living the life, and the families get to feel that and experience that, and just makes it easier for them to connect.
Yeah, that is a great compliment. That's for sure. I kind of want to switch gears to the magazine side. So for anybody that doesn't know, if you're looking for gear reviews, you guys do everything from tents to water filters to rifles, all that kind of stuff. You guys do great reviews. I can imagine that has changed a lot over the years. I mean, even when I moved here to Grand Junction, they used to have a magazine aisle. When I first moved here, wife was shopping. I'd go hit up, Outdoor Life and Western Hunter, and while she was doing her thing, those aren't there anymore. I can imagine that has probably changed even more than the TV aspect.
Oh, it has. It's crazy how we were on the newsstand for a better part of a decade. We were in thousands of locations, every Walmart in the country, and I was the same way. My wife, we'd be traveling or somewhere, and she'd go grocery shopping, and I was just going to hit the magazine aisle, just see what was out there. And I was just traveling last weekend, and I did the same thing. And I looked, and man, there's nothing for hunting magazines anymore. They just the grocery stores kind of started backing away first, and then the industry that got what really killed it really was it started early in COVID. Is COVID, it changed the path of so many things, but it did for print publications, especially because paper prices skyrocketed during COVID. And then mailing cost all but doubled. And then printers were struggling to keep crews on. So like now, it literally, our cost to put a magazine in somebody's mailbox has doubled since 2000.
Wow.
It doubled, literally doubled. And I was looking at some old invoices the other day. I was like, dang, we had it good back then, because we could make some money on magazines. Now it's tough. And that's why crazy. You don't see many, the hunting publications. Everybody, if you look at the survivors right now, Eastman's, Huntin' Fool, Epic, us, we all have a multimedia platform, and Huntin' Fool and Epic, their platform is raffles. They're selling raffles constantly, trying to, supplement that income in order to keep everything moving. And so, print's changed dramatically. And I think it's even changing, the content side of it's changing even faster right now. It hasn't yet, but it's going to, with AI. Like you talk about gear reviews. Now, there used to be the only way you could get gear reviews was in print. Well, then online came along, and you could go to blogs and read about this new rifle. Well, now, if I want to know the difference between a certain Bagara rifle and how it compares to a Ruger, I mean, all I got to do is ask ChatGPT, and it's going to give me a freaking awesome answer in about 8 seconds. Well, no, it won't even be 8 seconds. It's going to be somewhere around 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Faster than I can read, that comparison is going to pop up, and it's going to tell me all kinds of just relevant facts about what the differences between these two rifles really are, and what the similarities are. So, like, even going forward for us, that's one thing. Like, we're dead. It's really easy to have ChatGPT kick out an article for you too, if you want. I mean, and believe me, I've done it. I've just, out of curiosity, I just asked a question, like the one that we did recently. Mike DePlan did an article for me on that we did online about the changes in the Colorado draw system and what the impacts are going to be over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So I asked ChatGPT that question. I said, what's the current situation in the Colorado draw, and what's the impact going to be over the next 3 years? Well, it spit out an article that was arguably as good as Mike's, and he's lived in Colorado his entire life, understands the system in depth.
Yeah.
So anyway, the way in which hunters read a magazine, and what niche we can fill that AI or anything other that online can't do is what we're going to be focused more on, which is we're still going to be talking about new products and everything, because believe it or not, that's where chat gets that information, is from people like us.
Yep.
Give it that information. But we really want to get more into the heart and soul of what hunting is, and the adventure side, because no matter what, chat can't tell you about its personal experience because it doesn't have one. And so the things we're really focused on, what can we do and what can we deliver for content that's informative, entertaining, that you can't get anywhere else except for this print publication.
That's exactly it. I mean, you know, because I agree with the Chat GPT. It's probably, it's, I think for a lot of things, it's good right now. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. For us, this past spring, we, it was like, I don't know, probably March 10th or something like that. We got all these orders of people. We probably had like 30 people that were going up to Denali and we're trying to order one of our backpacks. Yeah. And it was like something that we'd never experienced before. And we were like, why is this happening? And so finally on about order 15 or 20, I asked this guy, I was like, where did you hear about us? Cause it's not like we haven't had like a big guide up there that recommended our stuff. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh yeah, I looked it up on Chat GPT and he said, you know, your guys' pack was the thing. I was like, wow, that is crazy. So yeah. It's definitely nice for that because it kind of helps you sift through some of the like you know, on Google now, all the top results are sponsored, right? Yeah. It's pay to play. Yeah. But that's not always, I mean, sometimes that's what you want to see, but sometimes you want to see like kind of the nitty gritty. And I think another thing that especially hunters and outdoors people, whether you're a backpacker or a camper, you know, having somebody tell you that a piece of gear is good is one thing, but seeing an actual story or hearing a personal experience with that and how the nuances of how they used the gear, like, oh, I was able to use this tripod on this crazy, right, you know, like 45-degree angle, and I was able to use this leg this way and this other leg this other way. I think that is going to be something that, you know, maybe Chat GPT someday will be able to replicate that. But as of right now, those personal experiences go so far for selling gear and selling, you know, just products and outdoor stuff. Yeah.
The third person endorsement like that is so it's critical. Yeah. That's a cool story about how so it's like, okay, how do we invade ChatGPT to give us more, give us more listens and views? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was like, let's not touch anything. Just really, keep it how it is.
Don't do anything.
Yeah. So I got a couple more questions for you here. Don't want to keep you too long.
Very good.
Number one, I try to ask this to everybody. It's a surprise question. These last two are kind of like a pop quiz. You're a guy that's been on a lot of hunting trips, been a lot of places. I know just in conversations that we've had, you're a big backpacker during the summer, do a lot of the, you know, Grand Canyon exploring. What's your one or two bucket list trips that you are trying to get into the next 5 to 10 years?
Bucket list trips. Yeah, that's a good question because it's honestly, I'm getting to the point where I feel like I don't have many of those. I have things I want to repeat more than things I want to do, you know, new. My son and I were talking the other day about, I mean, we got to make it back to Kodiak Island and go blacktail hunting again. I mean, it would be my fourth trip there, which, you know, that's, you know, overdoing it in most people's book. You know, it's like, how many times you got to go?
I just got to jump in and say that episode where you guys were on the November hunt that you guys went up to Kodiak was by far one of my favorite episodes. I just love the mood, you know, and just you showed how gnarly the country was, and obviously you guys got some blacktails. Yeah, it was awesome. So
yeah,
just had it
is that awesome, you know, to finish it and, you know, to think about, you know, catching crabs and shooting sea ducks and, you know, seeing bears and killing some deer and catching huge halibut off the boat. I mean, in 6 days you get more adventure then it's the cheapest big adventure out there right now. It's just it's crazy how cool that is. I'm trying to think. I'd really like to go to Alaska and go caribou hunting. I've never done that. I've never killed a caribou.
Really?
No.
Wow.
And it just feels like I'm missing out on something by not doing that. I need to put that one together, because that's just making the decision, spend the money, and go do it. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a cheap bastard, because I don't want to spend that much money to go up on a single hunt. But because most people probably think that guys with TV shows get free hunts. We don't. We pay the price that everybody else pays. Yeah. And there's times when we've been able to work deals, but the only reason we're getting the deals because we're doing extra work, to not just showing up and filming. And but that's definitely one. I'd love to draw a Rocky tag, but we kind of started talking before we hit the record button. I'm not sure if it would show, but I've killed a desert and a doll sheep. I've okay if I never kill a stone, but I would like to be able to go on a Rocky hunt. I've been on a couple because I guided for quite a few years, so I've been on a few Rocky hunts, successful Rocky hunts, and they're as far as sheep hunts go, I think they're what I would call fun hunts. But most of my real bucket list stuff right now is like hoping that I could still be hunting when my grandkids get started. It's still got another decade before that happens. And being able to hunt with go on more hunts with my son. It's just it's funny, but that's the kind of stuff I want to do. It's actually Nate and I have talked. We're gonna do more, and I really want to. This is something I'm super excited about, is filming some more bird hunting. With recent changes in laws on when it comes to film permits and stuff. Now, if I'm driving through Nevada and there's some really cool chucker country there, I can stop and go. And I can always stop, even if I don't have, because half the time I'm traveling, I don't have a cameraman with me because he's meeting me in camp. But I need to start doing that. That's like one of my, I would call this a bucket list. It's kind of a roundabout answer to your question, is one of the things I want to do more of is enjoy the process more. We drive through some incredible country to get to incredible country, and driving over a river, and seeing some guy down there with waders and a fly rod, and I'm like, and I don't have mine with me. I'm done doing that. I'm going to pack it. And if I have to spend an extra day driving, it's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to stop and enjoy the process more. Yeah,
that's a great point about Nevada, because I think the first place we met was at maybe Sheep Show. Yeah. And, we drive out there from Junction, so we're going through Great Basin area, and it's one of those things where, like, because I think that's in the middle of, or maybe it's after chucker season, but maybe during, but it's one of those things where you're driving by and you're like, oh man, I would just love to go up in that little area there. You see that there's no tracks on this little dirt road right off the highway. I think that's a great point, especially if you're like an outdoorsman, is, it's not always like, there's something super special about, I've done it before, where you're like driving to a certain fishing spot and you see a little, a blue line. You peel off and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go check that out. Or like you just find a random spot on Onyx and you're like, you know what? I think there might be some ducks there. So you hike in, and those are always the best hunts when it's just kind of spur of the moment. You stop and you check it out. And Nevada is a great spot for that because, obviously it's known for some of the chucker hunting, but you just drive through that state and there's so many little mountain ranges and valleys that you can go bomb out to and chucker hunt or mess around. Just, mountain lion hunt. So that's a good point. Yeah.
Just enjoying the process more, and enjoying each day a little bit more and kind of cut out the grind a little bit. Cause it's last year I drove to Eastern Oregon, and I mean, it's a long drive from Arizona to Eastern Oregon. And, there was chuckers and pheasants and grouse and I didn't have a shotgun. And I was like, Chris, you idiot. It's like, seriously, It doesn't take up any space. And how much fun would I have had, doing it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I will say on the caribou hunt, I highly recommend it. I have been lucky enough to be on a few of them. And, it's the way I kind of describe it is it's almost like it's very similar to like antelope hunting. If you're in the right spot. I mean, you hear guys that go up there and they don't see anything if they're on some of those, difficult hunts. But if you pick the right one, if you get to fly in and you're getting dropped in the middle of the herd, it's just like it's like antelope hunting. You're seeing a lot of them. They act very similar to pronghorn in that, like, I don't know, sometimes when you're hunting antelope, you'll just be 800 yards away and they'll spook.
Right.
They'll be like, what's going on over there? But then there's other times where you can walk, 40 yards up to them and they're all super curious. Caribou are kind of the same way, but you're in, the Brooks range or some of these gnarly Alaska mountain ranges. So it's just very different. So I would highly recommend it. I'm sure you'll get up there, and I look forward to seeing the Western Hunter episode when you do get up there.
Yeah, no doubt. And good question.
Yeah. The last question I have, and I ask this to everybody, gear-wise, and I always like this question to be your recommendation to be something that's a little bit off the beaten path. We have a lot of gearheads that listen to this podcast. What is one piece of gear that you have used? It could be this last hunting season, or it could have been on a backpacking trip. One piece of gear that you thought kind of, swept you off your feet in terms of its functionality.
Gosh, that's a good question, because gear is what, pretty much my entire adult life has been surrounded by gear. I mean, starting from when I was in retail to a sales rep, you're talking about gear all the time, and you're researching, you're looking at it. And there was definitely a time when that was an easy question, with the advent of laser rangefinders and GPSs and Onyx maps and even, tripods and hunting but it's getting harder to give a unique answer. But I will say, and hopefully this doesn't sound too self-serving, but the Outdoorsman's makes a little thing, they call it the holster. It clips onto it screws onto the leg of your tripod, and it's got an Arca Swiss. It's made for an Arca Swiss plate. So your spotting scope or your binoculars just fit right into that little spot. So like when I'm glassing with my binoculars, my spotting scope is right there on the tripod. It's not laying on the ground. It's not in my pack. It's up off the ground. It's right where my hand wants it. And it turns my lightweight tripod, which is nice to carry, into a pretty heavy tripod that's nice and stable in the wind. And when the guy showed me that, I was like, no, that's really cool. And then I used it and I'm like, no, this is like game changing. Like I'm trying to figure out how to make some kind of adapter where I can pick up a rock and put it in that thing too. Because all of a sudden that tripod goes from being a 2-pound tripod to a 5-pound tripod. And it behaves like a big, heavy tripod. It's nice. It's stable in the wind. It's easier to shoot off of. Everything's better. And it's like $30, and it's 3D printed, and they're, they make them to fit every tripod out there. It's one of those things that nobody will quite get how useful it is, how cool it is till you actually use it. Especially in the winter.
Well, that's, you brought up the shooting thing. That's great for that, because especially now, I think with the increase of people getting into long range shooting, you see some of these guys on some other TV shows. They're carrying out this, giant tripod that's meant for the NRL.
Yeah,
and it's like I'm not hiking that thing in with me.
No.
But if you can have something that kind of stabilizes that tripod in that way, I think that's a great idea. So that's what was the name of that product there?
It's called the Holster. The Outdoorsman's
the Holster.
Makes it. Yeah, outdoorsmans.com.
Right on.
I think it's $39. Yeah, I think it's not $50. It's super cool.
Nice. Sweet. Well, Chris, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you jumping on.
Anytime.
What's the best way that people can, get involved with Western Hunter, check out the TV shows, get on the magazine?
WesternHunter.net is our channel. And we do our subscription. It's $39.99 a year. That gets you a full year of the magazine, and it gives you access to every season of our TV show too. So you can watch it on your computer. You can cast it to your TV. So you've got access to all 12 seasons are on there now. By the end of the year, season 13 will be up on there as well. So if somebody were to subscribe today, they could binge watch 12 seasons, and it's like 160 episodes if you want. And then by the time you get done, we'll probably have season 13 up there for you. But yeah, everything, and you can sign up for our newsletter on there. We keep our newsletters are super clean, just informative, good information. And all of our blog posts, everything's can be found at westernhunter.net.
Perfect. Yeah, or you could be like me and just rewatch the same, 12 seasons every couple months. I never get tired of them. So
I actually enjoy it too. But it's funny. The guys laugh at me because when we were traveling at trade shows, and somebody's always got the remote sitting there flicking the channel around, and I'm like, guys, why don't we just watch Western Hunter? Yeah. And they all laugh, and they're like, oh, you just want to see yourself. I'm like, no, it's just good TV. And somebody will finally break down and put it on. Mm-hmm. And then I go to bed and it's still on. I wake up the next morning and somebody's got the remote and they're still watching. I'm like, see, it's just fun to watch.
It is good. Yeah. I got to say I think my three favorite episodes are, I think it was 6 or 7. You were down in New Mexico, archery elk hunting. That one, obviously the Kodiak one, which I think was probably around that same season.
Probably so.
And then the other one that I think was my favorite was Nate in, I think he had a Utah. No, it was Nevada, and he something happened to his cameraman, and so he had to film himself.
Yeah,
those are all my 3 favorite episodes that I'll just play on repeat, whenever I can. So
yeah, Nate has a tendency to bury some cameramen every now and then.
I'm sure
he's self-filmed. He's had to self-film quite a bit, and it's crazy how good he's gotten at it. Which is a skill he doesn't want to have, but he's been forced to do it a few times.
That's a good skill to have. Yeah. Good skill to have. Well, cool. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you, man.
You bet. Looking forward to hearing it. Thank you, bud.
Yes, sir.